It's now been a couple weeks since children have been back in the classroom, and today we check in with some of them to see how they're managing the resumption of face-to-face learning. Hi there. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. There's a lot unfolding after this break, so please stick around.
The Cannabis Licensing Authority is committed to supporting the creation of a regulatory framework for the growth and sustainability of Jamaica's medical cannabis industry. We carefully assess application forms for businesses and individuals interested in becoming partners in the industry. Along with other ministries, departments of government and agencies, the authority endeavors to preserve the integrity of the industry through compliance. This is all done to ensure that the industry is operating in conformity with Jamaica's international obligations. Call or visit our website to find out more about the work of the Cannabis Licensing Authority.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, November 23. Both Houses of Parliament have now approved the National Identification and Registration Act, paving the way for the establishment of a voluntary and secure national identification system, NIDS, for Jamaica. It was passed in the House of Representatives on October 13 and given the Senate's nod last Friday. NIDS will provide a comprehensive and secure structure to enable the collection and storage of identity information. It will be used to verify an individual's identity, facilitate the electronic signing of documents, and access to a range of government services online. Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Kamina Johnson-Smith, piloted the landmark legislation, which she says is a representation of the views of the Jamaican people. She says the legislative framework for NIDS has been strengthened and improved and will now recognize and protect the right to privacy, particularly as it relates to safeguarding data or identity information.
NIDS will provide greater security and privacy of personal information. And this is because it's going to attach the biometric ID. So not only would you have a card, but the card will be protected by the fact that you're uniquely identified by your fingerprint, by your face, your digital image, which will also reduce the risk of identity theft.
Once NIDS comes into effect, a new single ID will be provided, which will be widely accepted and protected by strong security and private networks. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says a comprehensive research on Jamaica's COVID-19 experience could help to devise strategies that will bolster resilience in the public health sector. Dr. Tufton was addressing participants at the 12th Annual Health Research Conference last Wednesday.
I would support any research that is properly put together that seeks to look at public health and project in the years to come, coming out of the COVID experience. And there are critical components of that. There's a technology component. One of the things that COVID has taught us is that technology does and can make things a lot more efficient.
Minister Tufton says he wants to see more practical applications from research findings on best practices being manifested in the lives of the people.
We need to solve problems. And we need to help people, Jamaicans, communities like ours, regionally, like CARFA's work, to solve problems. In this instance, helping people to live better lives, better quality lives, eating right, managing their alcohol intake, getting their regular checkup, taking their medication through to the end so they don't get into antimicrobial resistance.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has been supporting the research agenda through a $50 million National Wellness Fund that was launched over a year and a half ago. Cattle and small ruminant farmers now have access to resources and services that will allow them to improve the genetic potential of the local herds. This will be done under the National Livestock Genetic Improvement Program, which aims to expand production and productivity in the sector. The Ministry of Agriculture is executing the program over a 3-year period through the Jamaica Dairy Development Board in collaboration with Nutrimix. Minister with responsibility for the portfolio, Audley Shaw, says the initiative is an integral tool for harnessing opportunities geared towards the beef and cattle industries, as well as the small ruminant subsector.
Included in this genetic improvement program is the use of selected goat semen and embryos known for their high level of milk and meat production. As we continue to drive our drive to ramp up goat production.
Over 700 straws of beef cattle semen from Brahman, Brangus and Angus breeds will be used on the local stocks. 1,500 straws from Brown Swiss, Jersey and Holstein cattle will be used on the dairy cattle and 150 for goats. Students and teachers at Black River High School now have access to an additional classroom block valued at approximately $20 million. The structure, which was recently handed over to the school, comprises 4 classrooms and a staff room. Education Minister Favour Williams says the additional classrooms will ease overcrowding at the institution and facilitate the removal of the shift system.
Today's official handing over is indicative of a commitment to providing the resources to enable our children to do well in an environment that is conducive to learning. This is a commitment to the educational development of our children and to the future of Jamaica.
The structure was built under the Government of Japan's Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project with oversight by the National Education Trust. Minister Williams says there are plans to complete Phase 2 of the school's expansion project. Black River High, which was originally built to accommodate 600 students, now has an enrollment of 1,700. And finally, Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Pernell Charles Jr., says discussions are underway to initiate recycling programs in communities across the island. The talks include Recycling Partners of Jamaica and other recycling groups.
To partner with gated communities across the country and communities on a whole across the country to see how we can move now towards the sustainable practices to be incorporated into our communities, recycling and repurposing and separation of their waste materials.
Minister Charles Jr. was speaking following a tour of the Foreshore Estates housing development at Delacree Pen in St. Andrew. The project, which is registered with the Real Estate Board, provides 230 quads and duplex units that are within the National Housing Trust loan limit of $6.5 million. Ground broke in 2018 for the development, which is part of government's public-private partnership initiative to get more Jamaicans into houses.
For us as a government, we are supporting and partnering with private developers to ensure that we can provide affordable housing for our citizens. And affordable housing must be within a community that represents resilience and sustainability. So we are moving towards sustainable communities where families can live and be safe and feel ownership of their space, so they take care of it.
And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Hi everybody, my name is Jerome Smith and I'm the Principal Director of Forest Operations here at the Forestry Department. Just as encouraging everybody to come on board the National Tree Planting Initiative, particularly the My Tree Legacy promotions, where we get persons to go back to their alma mater, encourage persons to plant trees so we can learn about the importance of trees, not just for individuals, but for Jamaicans and the world on a whole. Thank you for your support.
Register your alma mater for the Forestry Department's My Tree Legacy promotion. And let us highlight your contribution by submitting videos and pictures of you planting trees. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
At the helm of government's policies and programs designed to improve the lives of all Jamaicans is the Prime Minister and his team at Jamaica House. We look inside the office of the Prime Minister next.
Prime Minister announces revised COVID-19 containment measures, gets first-hand view of Westmoreland's state of public emergency, and tours Norwegian research ship. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly.
What is clearly having the impact on transmission would be the measures that we have put in place, the same measures that people cuss about, that people quarrel about, the same curfews, the same no movement Sundays and lockdowns. Those are the measures that have worked.
And so, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced extended but relaxed COVID-19 containment measures to cover November 18 to December 9, among them pushing back curfew hours to 9 o'clock nightly until 5 a.m. the following day. Subject to the size of the venue, gatherings at places of worship, weddings, and annual general meetings have been increased to allow a maximum of 100 persons. Events hosted by public bodies will remain at 50 for fully vaccinated individuals. Burials and funerals can now accommodate 20 persons, but the public gathering limit remains at 10.
In relation to infirmaries, we have heard the calls to allow for new admissions as well as family visits. We understand the hardship, and Cabinet will consider potential changes to the protocols to be announced within the next set of revisions in early December.
In the meantime, the island's controlled entry program has been tweaked for the 3-week period. A negative PCR or antigen test is still required for travel to Jamaica. Fully vaccinated travelers with a negative PCR test will not be required to quarantine, but those with a negative antigen test and who have been fully vaccinated must quarantine for 8 days. Unvaccinated travelers with a negative PCR or antigen test are required to quarantine for 14 days.
Just to be clear, if you didn't take a PCR test as your pre-entry test, then when you come to Jamaica, you are under the quarantine rule. So if you are unvaccinated, you have to spend 14 days. If you are vaccinated, right, you can take the PCR test and be released. Or if you don't take the PCR test, you will have to wait 8 days. COVID-19 has evolved from a pandemic to being endemic. The highly transmissible nature of the Delta variant and ongoing vaccine hesitancy have made the goal of zero COVID-19 virtually unachievable. The SARS-CoV-2 virus is here to stay.
As a result, Mr. Holness says the measures will act as a controlled, gradual approach towards getting the economy to full productivity. In the short to medium term, measures are in place to control a possible 4th wave of COVID-19. The Prime Minister says this is in anticipation of an increase in cases after the Christmas period, as well as the possibility of outbreaks in other countries reaching our shores. He is urging personal responsibility and getting vaccinated to minimize or prevent that 4th wave.
Whether or not we experience a 4th wave and how significant it may be depends on us. The only sustainable way out of this pandemic is personal responsibility on the part of all our citizens. Personal responsibility to follow the infection prevention and control protocols, wearing your mask, sanitizing, social distancing, and ultimately, the personal responsibility for taking the vaccine.
Up to midday on November 22, 1,078,932 doses of vaccines have been administered. Of that number, 494,390 doses were to fully vaccinate persons. On Thursday, the Prime Minister was in Westmoreland. He was there to observe face-to-face operations at approved schools, as well as the vaccination program for schools and the public in general.
I'm here also to view firsthand the work of the security forces in supervising the state of public emergency here and ensuring that our citizens have the requisite level of security and safety that they deserve as citizens of the country.
The parish is among 7 police divisions that are currently under a state of public emergency due to their high crime rate. Since the start of the year, 111 murders have been committed in Westmoreland. Mr. Holness also visited Mabel Forbes, the mother of police constable trainee Devon Brown, who was slain on November 17. The Prime Minister informed the grieving mom that 2 men had been taken into custody and 2 others were being sought in relation to the murder. He added that investigations continued to bring the perpetrators to justice. And while in Westmoreland, the Prime Minister delivered tablets to students in the parish.
And so we're making an appeal to parents to please approve the vaccination of your children so that we can have a return to face-to-face learning in secondary schools. For primary schools, however, the children will be allowed to come back to school without being vaccinated. What that means is that teachers should seek to protect themselves by being vaccinated. The other encouragement that I would make is to the parents, and I see many parents here today. You yourself should get vaccinated. If you have persons in your household that have comorbidities, diabetes, hypertension, respiratory illnesses, obesity, you should get vaccinated, particularly when your children are coming back to school. And if you have members of your household who are older, 60 and older, they should get vaccinated as well.
Back in Kingston Friday, the Prime Minister was on hand to launch the Coding in Schools program being initiated by the Education Ministry. 400,000 students from grade 1 to 13 stand to benefit from the initiative that will be implemented in public schools across the island. 15,000 teachers will also be impacted.
Jamaica already has the building blocks to become the Silicon Valley of the region, such as proximity to the largest market in the world. We have creative, imaginative, and a young population. And we now need to turn this into an asset. We need the builders, the coders. They are the builders of the digital society.
Before his trip to Westmoreland, Prime Minister Holness stored a marine and scientific research training vessel from Norway. The vessel was docked at Port Royal as part of its One Ocean expedition. It's aimed at raising awareness and sharing knowledge on how ocean health can mitigate the adverse effects of climate change while ensuring a sustainable future for all.
Your mission could be considered as a critical mission for the sustainability of our oceans. We need to have far more knowledge of the ocean than we currently do. And we need to have even greater surveillance to measure and analyze changes in our oceans.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
The little ones are back in school physically, receiving their lessons in person, reconnecting with classmates, and getting a welcomed break from the online space. Our team in St. James and St. Elizabeth recently visited a few of the schools approved for face-to-face learning. Let's see how their students and staff are faring as we try to restore normalcy to education.
Social distancing, that's a must. We must observe the protocols for COVID-19.
We were visited by the Ministry of Health personnel who did a thorough inspection, and we got 2 reports that were satisfactory. That being said, we got the go-ahead from the Ministry of Health and Wellness to reopen school.
So far, things have gone well. We are seeing over 80% attendance of our students. We had consultation with our parents before we started, and most of the parents are on board with what is happening. They support the entire face-to-face reopening. And we probably have 1 or 2 parents who want to come on the compound because they want to see what is happening in the class where their children are seated and so on. However, because of the protocols, we don't allow them on the compound. What we were doing at some stage is to allow a number of parents to come on the compound and to see what is happening in a group. But for the time being, we are not allowing parents to come on. They leave the children at the gate and we take it from there. Several protocols have to be followed when the students come in. They are met at the gate by a team of support staff, teachers. We have an infant department. Those students, the small ones, are taken down to their classes where their hands are washed after the temperature is taken at the gate. For the other primary school students, their temperature is taken at the gate and they are sanitized and sent to their classes. A number of our students would have been in the situation face-to-face before. The small ones and the new students are the ones who are learning to adjust to the situation. But so far the compliance have been good. We have the teachers and the support staff who keep reminding the students and encourage them to keep their masks on, to keep their distances, and to sanitize when it's necessary.
So some parents would have told me that their children have asthmatic condition. In that case, the teacher knows about it and will give you extra time to go and get fresh air, remove the mask outside and get some fresh air. Otherwise, the classroom teacher, especially at grades 1 to 3, they will take you out momentarily to get you refreshed.
The students are enjoying being out face-to-face because there are some students who weren't able to see or hear from any at all whilst we were online, but they are coming out now face-to-face, and we are happy for that.
We try to ensure that we listen to the students and to hear what were their concerns, and so we try our best to meet those concerns. And the guidance counselor also would have identified students who were having challenges and seek to have individual guidance session with them.
I am very happy and grateful because it helps me to learn more. Well, during online school it was a little bit shaky for me, though it would be better if I was here where the teacher could speak and understand us in front of the physical space.
I feel the same way on online class as face-to-face. I like face-to-face better because sometimes the internet keep me out of the meeting and I miss out some important part of what the teacher is telling me.
First of all, I feel very happy to be at school because I get to learn more, understand more. I also get to learn a lot of things better. For the online, it's okay, but it's been very hard because I won't be able to understand the topic as much as I would as face-to-face.
We're happy that the Ministry of Education, the government of Jamaica, has allowed us to have our fifth form students come back because they are the critical ones at this time and they need to complete their SBAs. They have a lot of work to be completed because they have been out.
Online is very difficult, and also the internet issue. Most of the time I hardly go at class because you go and jump off, on, off, on and off, on and off.
And when you get the work, sometimes you don't understand what's going on. When you take the teacher, sometimes she helps you, but you still don't understand.
To me, students learn quicker and better face-to-face. But then with the virus around now, we have to be taking all the precautions to make sure that we don't have any widespread in the schools.
The journey is no longer from the bedroom to the living room or whichever corner of the house you've carved out for online learning. Now it's out the gate and down the street, or for probably most children, boarding public transportation to get to school. Schools are prepped and ready to ensure children are safe once they pass their gates. But what about the journey there? We've got you covered with some child-friendly COVID-19 tips for taking public transportation.
Sir, you don't watch the news. The taxi is full and I don't want to catch corona.
You can't squeeze in yourself.
No, sir. It's okay. I'll wait. I have to protect myself from the coronavirus.
You're gonna be late for school anyway.
It's better to be late and safe. Just last month I was running down the stairs for classes, but my school has reopened. Are you going back to physical school too? Do you have to take public transportation? If you answered yes, I have some tips for you. Just a few guidelines to help you stay healthy and COVID-19 free while taking public transportations. First, remind mommy and daddy to check the news for any public transportation changes. Make sure you have your mask and sanitizer before you leave your house. Your sanitizer should have at least 60% alcohol. Also, bring extra masks in a clean and sealable bag. Make sure you wear your mask while on the road or in a taxi. I don't mean under your chin or below your nose. It should look like mine. It should cover your nose and mouth. Don't practice social distancing. If a taxi has space to carry just 4 persons, it should carry 1 less. So you should be the 3rd person, not the 4th. Do not take off your mask in public. Always keep it on. Don't touch surfaces, but if you have to, wash your hands with soap and water. Take taxis or buses with the windows down so that there is proper ventilation. That means there is a steady flow of fresh air. As soon as you reach your destination, get out of the vehicle and go straight home. Don't stop to play with your friends. And when you get home, go straight to the bathroom to have a shower before touching anything or anyone. And also, if you are sick, just stay home. Yay! A taxi that's following COVID guidelines.
This is it for today's installment of Jamaica Magazine. Thank you so much for your company. There's more to see and learn over on our website and the JIS YouTube channel. We're also very active on all social media platforms, so follow to get timely information on all things Jamaican. Until tomorrow, when we do it all over again, I'm Adrian Atkinson, on behalf of the entire production team, saying thank you for your company and do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.